Come and listen to my story about a man named Dan, a poor silver miner just picking at the land. Then one day they was shooting at some food and up from the ground came a bubbling crude. Oil, that is. Black gold. Texas tea. It's really the American dream, isn't it? The land literally beneath your feet, the very earth you're standing on, making you rich beyond your wildest dreams. And once you strike it rich, honestly, nothing could go wrong. I mean, really, there's nothing that can stop you. Not a force on earth can get between you and your wealth. Greed, jealousy, even loneliness. All things of the past, right? Wait, right? It's Horses on Film.
Howdy, y'all, and Happy New Year, and welcome to episode 7 of Horses on Film. We're just trucking along. We're 7% of the way through. This is the podcast dedicated to determining the top 100 Western films of all time. And we're using as our guide, of course, the IndieWire list published in 2024. From there, we're adding, subtracting, reordering, until we can kind of come up with a list that we're excited about. And with me, as always, joined by my other hosts, Dave and Scott. Welcome. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, it's
y'all.
It's 2026 when this releases. So I hope we made it.
We made it. we are recording this in advance. There is the possibility of, like, I don't know, another rapture or something.
May you live in interesting times.
You never know. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves and say that, January is normal. But anyway, here we are. Welcome to January.
To a great 2026.
Cheers. Yeah, absolutely. Cheers, cheers, cheers. This has been fun. Last episode was our Christmas episode. We talked The Proposition, meat pie Western from Australia. And it now stands in second place behind Unforgiven. So it had a rating of 16 out of 20, an average of 4. So I think that's going to put it pretty high on this list, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely has a possibility.
I like that something that isn't Hollywood is this high. Not only as, if you've seen the episode, I gushed over this film, but I stars in my eyes, stars over the eyes in my diary of how much a Guy Pearce, will you take me to prom kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm like it's
Guy
like
Pearce in his yearbook and
yeah. I heart you, Nick Cave. We like that kind of like Denny Houston, your eyes. Yeah. Oh, John Hurt. Oh man. I'm we don't have time. Yeah, I'm really, really happy that it's not to see a outside of Hollywood film so high. I'm looking forward to when we get to the other ones on this list too. So
yeah, there's going to be some classics coming up and things are going to get shuffled around. But in the meantime, I'm glad it's there. And I'm even though both Dave and I, it was a little too real and gritty for our fainty personalities. I got the vapors twice watching it. But I'm glad it is a great one, and it's one that we really enjoy. So.
There's a town scene in The Proposition where a lot of them got the vapors. So
it's not an easy watch. We said that.
Not an easy watch
for sure. This week we're talking the oil industry, and here we are in Alberta, where the oil industry is kind of a big deal. Have you guys seen any other kind of things about the oil industry on film or TV? I guess Dallas, when I was a kid, was a big deal. I don't know if you guys remember Dallas.
My family never really watched Dallas,
Yeah,
or at least not when I was around.
right.
That's the one with the "It Was All a Dream," right?
There was a whole season where, yes, a character that was killed off that was very, very popular, played by Patrick Duffy,
Of Step by Step fame.
of Step by Step fame. Yeah, and he one episode, I think it was this season premiere of another season. They pulled it back in time, and he woke up and was like, whoa, that was a weird dream. And that whole season had become a dream, and all the weird things that happened in it were nullified. It was a big swing.
I think it was one of the first to do it too, because
Yeah.
was it St. Elmo Hospital one? It was all in a snow globe?
I don't remember that. I don't
Or
know
something
that.
like that. There was another TV show that tried it, and it was all in like the kids' snow globe. And they're like,
Oh my God.
it ends with him just being like, the hospital is in the snow globe, and the whole thing has been his imagination for like 7 seasons.
The other one I could think of is the Newhart. He had an original show called The Bob Newhart Show, I think, and then the next one was called Newhart. And then in the finale of Newhart, it was him waking up with his wife from the Bob Newhart Show, or whichever one came first. And I dreamt that I owned a Airbnb in Maine, and like he created that whole show as a dream in another show. Kind of brilliant.
That I wish I saw. I remember the show,
Yeah,
but I wouldn't have known that ending, and that is kind of funny. That is great.
yeah, that was really well played.
They referenced it on Late Night with Colbert, with Walter Malcolm in the Middle, Bryan Cranston waking up being like, I had a dream that I was like this drug guy. Like, and just
yeah.
And that was a reference to the Newhart. So
That was a Newhart reference. Oh, that's perfect. I love that.
to answer your question, Landman is currently about to go into season 2. It's very much in oil. I'm enjoying it. I do like me some Billy Bob Thornton. So
Billy Bob, yeah. I worked with him on Fargo season 1.
I find he's just
great.
Bad Santa. Yep. He's the main guy. We get Sam Elliott this season in the trailers. So
I haven't watched Landman yet. Is it very Yellowstone-y kind of?
More season 1 than season 2 on. Like there's a little bit of that yeehaw to it. And that doesn't intrigue me, but the character interactions and the business side of it really do a lot more for me. But like I feel I'm not the target audience, so I'm getting out of it what I will. And you see that in Yellowstone season 2 on, where they realize their target audience, because that's kind of the first of the Tyler Sheridan TV stuff, I think. And they kind of lost me after, like, I didn't even watch the last season Yellowstone. I was just like, it's too yeehaw for me. So.
Well, welcome to an entire podcast about horses.
Yeah, I know.
Westerns. But here we are. I knew we would pull you into it for sure.
Every once in a while.
Another one that I always think of when I think of the oil industry, and maybe it's not even oil industry so much, but have you seen the movie Sorcerer?
No, but is that where he's trying to get the oil across like the Middle East or something like that?
Well, sort of. Yeah, you're close. I mean, it's a terrible title for the show because the Sorcerer is the name of the truck in the movie, but it's basically 4 men from around the world that had to leave the world they were in. One was a bomber, like a terrorist, and one owed the mob, like stole from the mob and had to get out of town. And Roy Schneider from Jaws, and they go to South America and they're working for this oil company, and it's sweaty and greasy and gross. And there's an explosion at the well, and there's a fire, and they need to, like in There Will Be Blood, they need to get the dynamite in to close off the flames. But to get the dynamite across the jungle is so treacherous. They offer these guys a lot of money and a way out, a way to start their life over, kind of, if they can get the dynamite across the jungle. And that journey across the jungle is it's the sweatiest movie ever, and it was recommended to me by our guest today, and I've seen it a half dozen times since then. I really do love it. It's a great movie, and it's kind of oil adjacent.
I like Roy Schneider. For those who are unaware, he's also DSV. You went a little deep cut with the Jaws, but let's go with a more modern name.
Is that Sequest?
Sequest.
Sequest
Yeah,
DSV.
Okay. I do remember that show.
Yeah, that's what literally when it. I'm sure if you do playback, you'll see my eyes be like DSV. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
I still have a shirt of Sequest DSV somewhere in a box
Oh my
wow.
god.
from going to the.
See?
I wasn't on
2 out of
set, but I
3.
was at.
No
the
one's heard of this
filming
Jaws
location.
film.
Yeah. I guess who's seen Jaws? Nobody
Who's
watched
seen
it.
Jaws? 50th,
Yeah.
50th anniversary rescreenings are happening right now, and we're like, Jaws?
It's gorgeous.
That's the one
and-
with the ape, right?
Yeah, there's a big ape, and
Big ape.
terrible swimmer though.
Terrible swimmer.
The other connection tonight is Paul Thomas Anderson is our director tonight. Do you guys have a favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie?
Magnolia.
Yeah. That
I went.
Actually, to be fair, it would be this one. But I do like Magnolia. Haven't seen The Master. It's on my list. I just haven't got around to it. What else was Punch Drunk Love is great.
yeah, that was
Boogie Nights is awesome.
yeah. Boogie Nights is phenomenal, especially that opening shot.
Oh, so
I
good.
think it does kind of peter out partway through, and then Philip Seymour Hoffman and William H. Macy, just like unbelievable performances. I think Paul Thomas Anderson has a way of getting these performances out of these people, and you see it in today's feature too. But Punch Drunk Love. There was an interview with him, I think, while he was doing press for Magnolia, and they were like, "What's next? What do you want to do?" And he said, "I want to do a movie with Adam Sandler and Daniel Day-Lewis," and he eventually did both. Punch Drunk Love is a beautiful movie. I love that
movie.
and the music is great. And that was I think the one right before this one chronologically.
I think so. Hold on,
Yeah.
I have IMDb beside me.
How about you, Dave? Have you seen Phantom Thread or any of those?
I haven't seen most of his stuff. I'm sure I've seen Boogie Nights. I'm sure I have, but I can't remember enough to say. Yeah, no, I loved it.
Yeah.
Just looking at kind of his filmography, there's not a lot on there that I know that I've seen, for no particular reason.
Right.
I'm not avoiding his movies or anything like that. It's just looking at it, it's like, nope, didn't see that. Nope, didn't see that. Nope, didn't see that. Didn't even know that one existed. Nope, didn't see that.
and Hard Eight
look interesting. Licorice Pizza looks interesting.
Yeah, I didn't really like that one. That one and Inherent Vice I didn't really like, but personally, it wasn't really for me. But I did go to his newest one, One Battle After Another, while prepping for this. And while prepping for this, I found a very interesting little thing that I'll read later. Just a little connection between There Will Be Blood and that movie. But yeah, are you guys ready? Should we get going on our feature presentation here?
Yeah,
I'm on board. Let's do this.
So we'll put that thing up, and we'll set a little bit of mood music and learn about There Will Be Blood. There will be greed. There will be vengeance. Ruthless silver miner turned oil prospector Daniel Plainview moves to oil-rich California. Using his son to project a trustworthy family man image, Plainview cons local landowners into selling him their valuable properties for a pittance. However, local preacher Eli Sunday suspects Plainview's motives and intentions, starting a slow-burning feud that threatens both their lives.
Yes, There Will Be Blood, 2007. Directed, as I said, by Paul Thomas Anderson. Hard Eight, Boogie Nights, Magnolia, Phantom Thread, Punch Drunk Love, The Master, One Battle After Another. Screenplay by Paul Thomas Anderson as well. It's loosely adapted from the first couple hundred pages of the book Oil by Upton Sinclair. The rights were acquired by a writer named Eric Schlosser. I can never say that name. Schlosser. Who is credited as a producer on here. And basically he wrote Fast Food Nation, and a lot of people pointed out, oh, this is a lot like Upton Sinclair's Jungle. And he was like, oh, I've never read it. And then he went back and read, and when he read Oil, he was like, oh, this should be a movie, and was kind of in the process of like, how do I make this happen? When Paul Thomas Anderson, who had read the book on an airplane, wanted a good California story, came to him and said, you own these rights, let's do this. So that's kind of how that happened. It stars Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Dano in 2 roles. It was filmed June through September 2006 in Marfa, Texas. Marfa is where they shot the movie Giant, which I'll be talking about a lot later on this one. And at the same time they were shooting this, they were also shooting the Coen brothers' No Country for Old Men in Marfa, Texas. They also shot in Valencia, California, and interiors at the Greystone Mansion in Beverly Hills, which you would know as the home of, speaking of the Coen brothers, The Big Lebowski. And the fact that The Big Lebowski had a 2-lane bowling alley in his mansion and they never used it is sort of incredible. I don't know how that happened. Music by Johnny Greenwood of Radiohead. It was famously disqualified for the Oscars because it contained too much previously released music. But it did win a Grammy, or was nominated for a Grammy. This was nominated for 8 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Art Direction, who was Jack Fisk, who I got to work for on The Revenant. So that was very cool. And cinematography, film editing, sound editing. It really got nominated for a lot. It only won 2. Daniel Day-Lewis won for Best Actor, very well deserved.
Shocker.
Cinematography, Robert Elswit, also well deserved, and he didn't think so at the time. And then apparently he went back and watched it, a year later, months later, and went, "Oh wow, no, this deserved the Oscar."
Do you know what won that year, 2008?
Best Picture?
Yeah, you don't have that in front of you, do you?
I do have it in front of me. It is No Country for Old Men, which,
well,
forever kind of linking these 2 movies together, which we'll talk about in a minute. But first, let's bring in our guest, our returning guest, screenwriter, filmmaker, Fraggle Rock creature shopper, Brandon Nelson. Brandon, friend of the pod, welcome back.
I'm so proud to be a friend of the pod, and just really happy to be back. I'm excited.
Yeah, you're our first returning guest, our first guest ever, so it makes sense. Get you back in the rotation.
Well, last time I helped you guys discuss a filthy murderer on Unforgiven, so I'm happy to be here discussing just a hardworking, industrious man, a community leader and a family man, and
great
really
father.
Yeah, totally, yeah,
absolutely. Do you have a favorite? Oh, sorry.
I think he's an oil man.
Yeah, he's an oil. Do you have a favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie?
I hate to say the boring answer, but I think it's got to be There Will Be Blood. But Phantom Thread and Boogie Nights are right up there as well. And I have a soft spot for Inherent Vice that a lot of other people don't have, because I love a good hangout movie. Speaking of The Big Lebowski, it's one of my favorites of all time. So Inherent Vice is kind of in my area that I enjoy, of just hanging out and being confused about life. And
I would like to watch that again, because I did watch it just the one time and I didn't enjoy it at all. So I should see it again.
A lot of people have that reaction. I totally see how it would be mixed, but I kind of have a soft spot for it. So.
All right. And No Country for Old Men is probably one high on your list.
I love No Country for Old Men. That talk about a Sophie's Choice at the Oscars that year. Good Lord. I mean, I don't know that's where you got to split. I think picture and director. That's if ever there was a case where you got to split it, this would be one. And I'm surprised they didn't do that year. But
yeah, I wonder if maybe No Country was just a little bit more commercially Hollywood.
Maybe, but a surprisingly cool offbeat choice for the Oscars still.
So,
I suppose so, yeah.
I'm wondering if it actually lends more, because when I think No Country Old Men, I think of Javier Bardem. He really his, I just had the name, Chagrin or something like that.
Anton Chigurh.
Sugar.
Sugar.
That's it. Yeah, I'm like that's what everyone talked about. Like because he really is like. So
Yes.
I'm wondering if that kept it in the consciousness when they went to vote.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a very shocking movie too. This one was shocking as well, but maybe a little bit more of a slow burn shocking. Dave,
Slow burn.
Slow burn. What do you think? I got the
slow,
impression you are not a
slow.
huge fan of this.
I'm not. Now, as you list off what it was nominated for, I can't disagree with any of those things.
Sure.
I will fully concede that this is a very well made film. Daniel Day-Lewis is always a top tier drama actor. This is not a Western.
Yeah.
In context of this podcast, it is not a Western. It is a period drama that happens to take place in the West. That's it. There's no cowboys. There's one horse. There's nothing that makes this a Western other than it's physically in the West.
Yeah, and I'd say oil is as Western as gold or land or cattle, but you're right. There's something that feels a little bit. I mean, even though it's shot in Marfa, Texas, it feels like a California story, where they're not like fighting against Mexicans for the border in California might feel more Western, but this feels more like a capitalism, greed, family, personal story. Is it a Western? Is the big question on the table.
Yeah.
Scott,
And I say very not.
So for the listeners at home, I'm squirming in my chair.
Yeah.
I believe if all we've been talking about Westerns is Star Wars, this is Andor. If we did a podcast on the 90s, right? And we were like, oh, the whole 90s was just heat. We're like, no, we focus on the horses and the outlaws and stuff. Like that's what you think. But what was everyone else doing? People had lives. People were doing, and it just happened like, especially with this, I had it in my mind as a post-Western, which was, so I had to look it up. The traditional Westerns are about 1840 to about 1890, they say. This starts in 92. So I think this would be what kind of, because oil for all intents and purposes kind of killed the Western. You got cars and automation and industrial, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of that comes with oil. But that spirit, that independent spirit that I will make it on my own, be damned, is throughout this. When he drags himself out of the silver mine and across that is the most Western thing I've seen, maybe. Like, it's some cowboy shit right there. That hole, and it happens multiple times in the film, that hole keeps taken from that man.
Well, and like, I mean, aren't Westerns about like conquering the land? And what is a more direct conquering of the land than exploiting it for all it's worth, what's under the ground? It's sort of like, it's either not a Western at all, or it's like the Western. Yeah, like it's one or the other, and I'm not sure which, to be honest.
You're digging into the heart of darkness of this land.
Yeah.
And you're challenging it, and they show you that with the partner, the when they start digging the wells and they lose the guy when the pipe falls. Like, it constantly just takes. And then eventually JW goes as well. But like, it takes everything from this man, and you see that, and like, I'm not saying he's a good guy by any means, but no. But I do fully believe that this might be arguably the most Western of Western films we watched.
So. I think it's the single greatest performance on this list, and I think I have a little bit of headcanon that I think it's a performance inside a performance, because I really do think the only time we see the true Daniel Plainfield, if that is his name, even Plainview, yeah. I only think it's really him in the silver mine when he's picking away and when he gets hurt. And I think in that moment when he's lying on the floor, waiting for his money to be counted from his silver strike, I think in that moment he reinvents himself, and he turns into Daniel Plainview, the oilman. In that moment, I think his voice is an affectation. I think his whole persona is an affectation. I think his relationship with his quote unquote son is put on to perform this role within the movie. I do have a kind of one. I think the first act, I think that what this movie is missing, and you're absolutely right that it's as Western as every Western can be, and the pursuit of oil is a Western story. I think the movie Giant, which I will talk about a lot in this one, I think the movie Giant does a better job of showing you, and even Tulsa, of showing you that transition of how the oil affected the families and the ranches and the towns. I think what this movie is missing, if it's missing anything, is a female component. There's no female story in this movie. And if I mean, it doesn't need to be any longer, but if you flushed out the first act and there was even the slightest hint of a love triangle between Daniel, the gentleman who was HW's biological father, and a female character, if there was even 1-2 scenes where you got the impression that, like, oh, maybe HW is his biological son, or there was some kind of question about what was involved, or how these people were relating with each other, and then you moved forward into the story with just a little bit of grounding. Every time they mention HW's mother, it's just kind of brushed under the carpet. And I just feel it is missing that family element, a female component. I think it's a very, very bro-centric story. So that would be my only thing. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I always saw it as a contemplation of what we consider a god to be. We have Eli, and there's the scene where he's building a new church across from the oil derrick. I think that is incredibly important, not just because the antagonist between the two characters, but Eli, and you see it at the end with the false prophet thing, because Plainview has sniffed Eli out, and Eli has sniffed him out. And it's always, to me, it's this constant battle of who's going to get the upper hand.
It's a duel.
Just exposed. And you see it at the end with the say you're a false prophet. You went to Hollywood, you took the money, the $5,000 I gave you, and you went to Hollywood and you blew it. And you see the big like cross, he comes back, like it's religion as a clothing option, as a way to hide the fact that he is rotten inside. At the dinner table when he texts his dad, there's nothing Christian about that. And like, it's just like,
and I think it could be why Paul, the twin brother, leaves, where he can see that his brother is leading these lambs down the wrong path. I do think this movie is a duel. It is a grudge match. They, one of them hits the other one, and then the other one comes up with a reason to hit that one. And like, they really do. I mean, as much of it's a grudge match between this and No Country for Old Men, it was a grudge match between Paul Dano's character and Daniel Day-Lewis through the whole thing.
Well, Paul Dano's amazing in this.
Yeah.
He's overshadowed by Daniel Day-Lewis, but don't get me wrong. But like, if Daniel Day-Lewis wasn't in this film, we'd be talking about Paul Dano. Like, he's that good.
And he had 4 days to prepare because he was cast as Paul, and there was another actor named Kel O'Neill who played Eli. And then after a few weeks of shooting, they decided that wasn't working. They let Kel go. He's now a director. He's doing great. But Paul Dano took over the dual characters. They rewrote it as twins. that look that Daniel Day-Lewis gives him when he comes up as Eli, where he's figuring out that they're twins and he just stares at him. It's priceless. That's worth the price of admission.
He glances over at the kid as well, like, you're seeing this, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Like,
yeah.
That's the guy, right? No, that's
Yeah.
not the guy. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty funny. But
Well-
yeah, so Paul Dano really stepped into it, and his performance, I think, is goofy on a certain level.
It's kind of
But-
embarrassing at times, which it's supposed to be. Like, it's
Right.
not, he's doing it on purpose, but yeah, he is.
Right.
They're both showmen. It's just that he's a little bit more of a ridiculous showman because he's playing to his audience. But that grudge match between them, it is. I didn't fully realize until this rewatch for this discussion is I didn't realize how much they are both religious figures in their own way. I thought, oh, it's this competition between like rational but brutal capitalism and religious zealotry. But in actuality, there's nothing rational about the way that Plainview runs his business. He is a fanatic, and he's as religious as Eli is, just for his own purposes. And he has opportunities to sell his business for $1 million and walk away and live however he wants to. But he says, "What would I do with myself? This is his mission. It's his religious mission." And I think that there's that moment early in the movie where HW, as a baby, his biological father kind of anoints his forehead with a spot of oil on his forehead. And it's like this Ash Wednesday thing, but it's oil. And I didn't realize actually how they see each other. Daniel and Eli see each other and understand each other as competing prophets.
Religious factors.
You see it because the movie isn't about oil. And that's and it's the line at the end. Spoiler. I don't know. Do we do spoilers here?
Yeah, we spoil.
Sure. When he beats the crap out of Eli, and then the servant comes down and he goes, "Are you done?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm done."
I'm finished.
And he says it in a way like, This was my business.
Finished. And in a way, it's my performance is done. You know,
yes.
When I'm looking at it as a performance in a performance, I think it's like this role that I've been playing is finished. You know, I think there's something kind of, it's very theatrical.
Yep.
Yes.
When he's standing over and he's like throwing the pins at him and everything, I was just like I believe Daniel Day-Lewis every time. He is the last of the Mohicans. He is a member of a gang in New York. He is that he is like
Yeah, but I think that's because they're religious figures. I think that's why there's so few women in the movie. They are ascetics. They're monks to their religion. Like, if they could open themselves up to companionship like that, they wouldn't be who they are. Like, they are just pure elements of whatever they're exploiting and like harvesting and taking.
You also see it when Mary marries the son, and then so you had the oil take his son from him, and then you had a woman take his son from him.
Yeah.
And so and that's that scene when he's like, I can't remember. I literally watched the movie again yesterday. I can't remember what he yelled at him, but he's like, "Good, go. I don't need you. Whatever, go." He's hurt. He's obviously hurt because but like this whole time, the son is who he's confiding in. The same way you might pray, right?
And he says he's a bastard in a basket, which is like a kind of a Moses imagery there too. Like,
right. Yeah, there's definitely that. And the idea that he's yelling at the top of his lungs across a mansion to a man who's deaf.
Yeah.
And is he deep down hoping that the interpreter is interpreting it for him?
Yeah. Like
each
I think
time.
the interpreter gave up at that point. He's like, nah.
Your dad is mad at you. Heads up.
It's so absurd. And that actor, Russell Harvard, was also in Fargo.
That's right.
Yeah, he's great. And the young actor who plays HW is fantastic. He's not an actor. He was kind of thrust into it because they wanted someone local who could shoot shotguns. And but yeah, he was fantastic throughout it. And they really had a partnership more than a father-son. He really treated him like a business partner, for better or for worse.
When the lawyer shows up, he says, "Make sure you get your half."
Right. Which I assume he does get a good chunk of it. And when he goes off to do his own thing with Mary in Mexico, I imagine he's taking quite a bit of capital with him.
Yeah, he's starting a competing business. Like
Mhm.
yeah, for sure.
And right away, Daniel's so jealous that it's you're my competitor, and he just doesn't see beyond his myopic vision.
It's the only way he can view human beings is like competing exploiters. He doesn't understand them any other way.
He even says it.
He has opportunities for love. There's opportunities there with HW's, wife eventually, and his friend Kieran Hines, who's his business partner, kind of a second in command. He could have been a good friend to him, but they never talked about anything personal. It's all business.
Dave, what do you think about the brother that came in that maybe wasn't his brother?
So here's the thing. I literally fast forwarded through every scene with that false brother, and I don't feel like I missed anything.
You're probably right. Yeah, like the brother.
I think that's an entire subplot that could have just gone away, and it would not have affected the movie in any way, shape, or form. I hate to say that because I don't like doing that. I don't. Yeah. But I at that point in the movie, I'm just like, what? This. I can't. I couldn't at that point. So I'm just like, I hate saying that, but I just.
It was interesting timing that he was able. I mean, obviously, HW had the accident. Probably needed a little bit more attention suddenly. Yeah. But it wasn't until the brother came in that he felt he was able to send HW away, and that scene on the train where he sends his son away hits a lot different now as a father than it did probably the only time I've seen this was in the theater, and then I hadn't seen it since, and I watched a bunch for this, but yeah, sending him away, and then as soon as the brother was gone, he brought him back, although he was kind of compelled by Paul Dano breaking him down and making him admit that he sent him away, but
it's the scene when he's beating him in the mud. He's like, why aren't you healing my son? Why aren't you doing your thing? Like you compassion for everyone, because he knows who he is. And he's calling him out on it. It's like, do your magic. You believe in this. You believe everyone. Go do it. And you can't, because I know and you know. And it's just like,
and at one point, Eli tries to blame the fact when they had the accident at the well. He's like, well, you didn't give me a chance to bless the well. Like as though the well, there's accidents on these sites all the time, but had he blessed it, and that actual power play where he goes in and tells him he's going to bless it, and then he basically denies him the opportunity to bless it, and that right there is like, these two are never going to come together. At that point, you could just tell they're out for revenge on each other at all times.
They want the same thing. They're just coming at it from two different angles.
Yeah.
And
I think Brandon has it dead right. They're both false prophets coming from, and like you said, coming from opposite directions for the same thing. They all want that adoration of somebody.
Yeah, like Plainview harvests oil and Eli harvests like people that believe for souls. Exactly. There, let's go epic. Come on.
You harvest souls.
And if you want to continue down that, he lost his faith when I keep saying JW, but HW got hurt. Then you got a renewing of it when the brother comes back, and that ends up to being false as well. I actually really liked the brother. I actually thought it didn't go where I thought it would have went. But you can see, and it was when he's getting a little drunk and he comes for him for money. He's like, "Can I have some money?" And that's when he realized promise, I don't want money. I just need a job in a place. Like I just need a role in this world, something that a lot of religion promises you. And so instead of going to the church, he went to his brother, but at that time, the other god, oil. Actually, at this time, the other god, oil. But and he tried to get salvation there, and eventually, the mask fell off. I'll never ask you for money. Now I'm drunk asking you for money. Give me money. Give me money. And he does it multiple times, and you can tell he's just okay. And that's when because the next scene's when he grills him. And
when they're sitting on the beach, and I think when he realizes this isn't his brother, because he was thawing in a certain way, there was a glimmer of love in Daniel Plainview that he could have had.
Humanity.
And when he realizes this guy is lying to him and is trying to take his money and is just like everyone else, a competing exploiter, he just, that his heart hardens forever. And so I think it is a really pivotal moment where there's no going back for Daniel Plainview. He is dead to the world from that point on.
And there's something incredible about that moment when he is asking for money, and there's that off-screen laughter that him and the prostitute are probably drunk and having a great time and spending Daniel's money, and that soundtrack of the laughter coming at Daniel. It's just that I'm not here to be laughed at. I'm not here to get made fun of. I'm not, there was a real pride in his actions after that. And do you think that's the first person he's murdered in that?
Intentionally?
Yeah.
I don't know. But it is interesting that after the murder, we get the mansion.
It's not the last person he murders, that's for sure. But
yeah. He has that capacity in him, though.
He may not have murdered directly because it's not that kind of Western. Like he doesn't need to murder as part of his business. Whereas if he were a cattle rustler or an outlaw or something, like, okay, you got to murder as just the course of doing business. But I think he wouldn't. He's certainly not above it, but he just probably hasn't had a need to prior. But
that's my feeling. I don't think he's ever been pushed to that point. And even I would include pre-Daniel when he was, a young man and a silver miner and all that. I think his focus was always winning. It wasn't about killing or anything.
It's him taking that little bit of silver, putting it in his pocket, and dragging himself the miles into town. That tells you everything you need to know about this man. Everything.
Would you have liked to have seen some shots of that? Because it is a kind of a hard cut. He crawls himself out and he crawls away from the site.
They do a pan up where they show like there's some distance.
Yeah, but I could see some movies making a real meal out of that, of him crawling himself across the desert.
I don't think that's this movie, though.
Yeah,
no, it's not this movie. And again, would this movie be the same if it did what I'm about to say? No, but I think this could have easily been a longer miniseries, or even a full series. Probably not full series because there's not enough there for multiple seasons. But
give us the Dave cut.
A limited series. Give me more. Not less. If as a movie, I would have liked to have seen this give me a lot less. But I think there's definitely enough. And knowing that it was only the first 100 or so pages of this book that it came from, I think they definitely could have gone deeper into certain things. They could have easily expanded past. But I mean, I want to say I loved the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, which is silent, and we saw that on Rio Bravo, and we, this seems to be kind of a Western trope all of a sudden, that you start with a long silent sequence, and it's a very, very long time before, I think it's almost 14 minutes before you hear any dialogue, and the dialogue is that opening speech to the community, and again, that's where I kind of see like, okay, this is not who he really is. This is a role within a role. That's in my mind. It's
interesting point. Yeah,
I always thought it reinforced the loneliness of it. He's out there by himself, and then it isn't until he gets introduced, or he's introducing himself to the community, that voices come in.
And it's not like Dave mentioned on Letterboxd. It's not like a plot heavy movie. It's not. You're not here for the plot. You're not really necessarily too interested in where it's going or what these steps are. I think Tarantino said in his review of it that it had no set pieces, and then he was like, well, wait a minute, that oil well lighting on fire, and HW getting hurt. That was okay. Other than that, but there was a movie that came out last year called The Brutalist, which got a lot of attention and buzz. I did not enjoy it. I think this is the movie The Brutalist thought they wanted to be in my mind. Like they thought, oh, we don't need this kind of structure. We'll just meander through this person's story and focus on this, greed or an overall theme without getting too locked into a plot line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Brutalist was kind of a lot of the superficial trappings of this kind of period piece and an epic character drama or whatever. But like with There Will Be Blood, you don't really want more than one set piece because Daniel Day-Lewis's face is the set piece. Like,
right.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, Last Mohicans, like Gangs in New York. It's all characters. Daniel Day-Lewis is your set piece.
And those two, him and Dano going at it. I mean, that's what you're there for. And that's really interesting, Cameron, what you said about that he is such a performance and that we don't hear him speak until the performance has already been honed and crafted. And he's a professional at pitching these drilling sites and these land leases by the time that we actually hear him speak. It's something that really kind of blew my mind, and it didn't really recontextualize the performance of the movie, but I guess maybe it did a little bit. But Norm Macdonald, the comedian, he was asked if he liked this movie and this performance, and he felt he didn't like it, and his reason was that Day-Lewis's performance was a ripoff of John Huston in Chinatown. And when he said that, I was like, what? And then I watched a scene of John Huston in Chinatown, and Mr. Giddies, I want all water in California. Like he's just the cadence is there. I'm like, oh my God, he's a guy in a wide brimmed hat trying to control a resource for wealth and power. But to me, I'm okay with that, oddly, because it is a little bit deliberately artificial. And so I don't think it's a ripoff. I think it's like a grotesque extension.
It's a honing in on. And I think there was a story that he watched Treasures of Sierra Madre a lot, kind of preparing for this. And in the behind the scenes footage of the Treasures of the Sierra Madre, John Huston is in all the behind the scenes footage of that, and that's kind of where he got the voice and the mannerisms and stuff. So I think it really does probably, I don't know if he'd admit it's that simple, but it probably does come from something there, which again is Western royalty. It's another movie from this list. It's a famous Western, and you're right, the ties to Chinatown with the water resources and everything. It really, if it's a ripoff, it's perfect. It's a fitting ripoff.
Yeah, it's called an homage at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think it's diminished.
Good. Yeah,
I'm gonna read you guys something because I recently went to One Battle After Another. Have you guys
not yet
seen that yet?
Not yet.
Brandon, you saw it?
No, I haven't seen it yet. So
one thing in the movie is there's kind of a chase scene over these roads through the desert. I'm going to read you this. The road ran smooth and flawless, precisely 14 feet wide, the edges trimmed as if by shears. A ribbon of gray concrete rolled over the valley by a giant hand. The ground went in long waves, a slow ascent, and then a sudden dip. You climbed and went swiftly over, but you had no fear, for you knew the magic ribbon would be there, clear of obstruction, unmarred by bumper scar, waiting for passage of inflated rubber wheels revolving 7 times a second. And it's this imagery of going up and down these hills, which is a big moment in One Battle After Another. That's the opening lines from Oil by Upton Sinclair.
Wow.
Which this movie is based on. So obviously that imagery stuck with Paul Thomas Anderson for years and years and years, and he knew he was going to go back to the West with that.
He just got the longest possible lens that he could, and he filmed down those roads, and the cars looked like they were right on top of each other, even though they're like a mile apart, but everything's crushed in this long.
It's dizzying. It's a dizzying. You feel like you're on a roller coaster in that scene. It's a great scene in a very, very good movie. I wouldn't put it as high ranked as this, but
No,
yeah, very, very interesting that imagery stuck with him all these years after reading the book on an airplane.
Using that, what stuck to me was the promise it would always be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if
Trust.
that's maybe some of the, again, religious allegory here, where sometimes your local preacher or whatever, your religion may fade, but the road is always there. Like this man-made thing I can count on because it'll always be there. And so I'm curious if, especially it didn't make the movie like that way, but you're saying it's in the book. So
yeah, and he obviously didn't adapt it. And then the book was based on, real oil men, Doheny and these guys. And that's actually who built the mansion for his son. And that's the mansion that they film in at the end. So it's all very connected in this. And I think Paul Thomas Anderson really researched, and he had, a lot of the oil stuff, the way the wells worked. I love the little moment of Daniel kind of sketching how he wants the pump to work and things like that. Like I really feel like this movie was researched and really got to a solid place. Now, the one thing it didn't have a lot of was horses. Let's do our horses on film count, and I'm pretty sure I know where this is going to go. We have a 4-level system: no horses, some horses, lots of horses, all of the horses. Dave, let's start with you. What do you think?
There was one horse. We can do an actual count. There was one horse.
It's a one-horse film.
One horse.
Yeah,
film.
it's a one-horse film. No, I'm saying no horses because there was, other than that one scene, there was no horses.
We talk about on this podcast how I always think it's like a 25. No, this one's like, can we have a -1 horse? Like there's almost none in this. Like,
yeah, and it's a story that exists whether horses are there or not. I think you could remake this movie modern day.
Oh, easily.
And it would work. You could remake this movie about the gold rush, and it would work. You could remake this movie about a land rush or cattle.
Would you have to acknowledge that your cell phone didn't work, so you had to drag yourself into town?
Yeah, probably. Like he'd have to be looking for signal.
You notice there's a moment in filmmaking when the cell phone becomes ambiguous. And so like there's always a lot of, and you get that. You're like, that is the dumbest thing ever. You have
He'd be able to do a reverse image search on his fake brother, and he'd find his social media, and he's like, you liar.
Well, and he might even know ASL at that point. That was one of the things as well.
Yeah.
When they had to send him to California to teach ASL. And I was like, no, they're like 47 schools within my area that teach ASL, right? So
I like to call that cell phone phenomenon the Seinfeld line. I think the Seinfeld was the line in the sand where all those stories made total sense at the time because cell phones weren't ubiquitous. And almost every one of their plot lines falls apart by the invention of the iPhone. So there's a line in time where it's like pre-Seinfeld, post-Seinfeld.
There was the
Seinfeld line.
I like Reddit being like, if Reddit Seinfeld was today, the storyline would be Kramer borrowed Jerry's car because he's an Uber driver, and then Jerry calls an Uber, gets in, and Kramer still charges him even though it's his own car.
But you don't have to tip.
You don't have to.
Yeah. What about Brandon? Are you at 0 horses, or are you at some horses?
I have to politely disagree. I know there's at least 3 horses because when Daniel Plainview and his fake brother are doing some surveying, they each have a horse, and they have a third horse with equipment.
Well, there's actually 4. They're tied up on the line.
Oh, right. That's right, too, at the Bandy Ranch. Yeah.
They have some horses.
Yeah.
There might have been a mule mixed in there, but I'm going to let it slide. Yeah.
3.5 horses.
So
yeah.
You're saying some. There's some horses.
I'll go with some horses.
Some.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's
we
at
got
least
some no. I'm going to say no horses because the story doesn't hinge on the existence of a horse. And it's similar to The Proposition. We called The Proposition a no horse movie too, because Really, the story exists whether there's horses there or not, and if they're just kind of a mode of transportation and it's not really about having them there, then I'm allowing a no horse movie to have horses.
Sure.
Wait, although something to be said about if it's a modern movie and horses show up because it's novel for horses to be there, a smattering of horses isn't necessarily a no horse movie.
Those horses hold greater value
The
as
the
novelty.
motif.
As novelty. I don't know.
Okay.
You know, there's a chance. There's a
We'll
sneaky
come across
chance
something.
that we don't really have a very good system in place here.
I think
I'm starting to wonder. No,
I think it's funny because if you're not I see a horse I'd say at least once a week in my life up here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny to even say that line out loud because I don't think about it. We're in Alberta, but like it's still alive here. Like
Sure,
a lot.
my daughter rides horses every Wednesday, and so I'm
Yeah,
at the
see,
barn
like,
every Wednesday, surrounded by horses.
But
And,
if you're like in New York, outside of
Yeah.
like Macy Day Parade, how
Yeah,
often
or
do you
the
see a horse?
Central Park Rangers, maybe.
Yeah,
but
like
yeah, it is interesting the way horses still are a very big part of our life, even after the oil industry destroyed everything. Let's go to ratings now. Brandon, I have bad news. We abandoned the six shooter rating pretty much immediately.
If I had been informed ahead of time, I would have pulled out at the last minute, I have to say. But no, it's kidding.
I'm glad that this is your last appearance on the pod because you're so hurt by the reason is we're trying to align it with Letterboxd and they're a 5-star rating system. But I did find some historical fact for why 6-shooter maybe doesn't work. You know, there's kind of the trope in movies where they count the shots, and as soon as you hear that 6th shot, it came up in the tall T. After the 6th bullet, you know they're out of bullets, and you can try to catch them reloading, kind of thing. Apparently, most people who carried guns only kept 5 bullets in the chamber because they were prone to go off. So you never let the hammer rest. So there was always an empty chamber. So even on a 6-shooter, we're still in a 5 system.
That is a very good point. And as I'm an Alberta guy, like we all are, and my dad is founder of a couple of gun clubs, and so I've grown up shooting. And modern revolvers require a pull of the hammer for the first shot, and then after that, you can continue to pull through without cocking the hammer. But old West revolvers you could set it off just pulling it out of your holster or whatever on the first shot. So very dangerous to have all 6 loaded. So good point. I'm no longer heartbroken, and I withdraw my complaint.
Cameron educating everyone on the
We'll see you back. We'll see you back on another episode. Thank God. God.
Yeah. Crisis averted.
You're explaining that whole thing, and I'm picturing Brandon against like some hay bales being like, "Oh, I'm out of bullets. I can't be here anymore." Like it's just like,
yeah.
Sundance Kid kind of thing. Like, oh, here we go. Yeah.
So out of 5, I'm going to start. Let's start with Scott. Out of 5, what's your rating?
5?
A 5.
4.5, 5 is where I'm at.
Okay.
I do like this a lot more than Unforgiven. I don't know if I like it as much as The Proposition. I like the more, I was going to say gritty, but it's not what I like about The Proposition. I like The Proposition is such a, again, Sophie's Choice was already thrown out in here, but that like, I feel where this, I will never be a Plainview or an Eli in any metaphorical way in my life. But I could see there's a chance in a different life, maybe, that a proposition would come to me where I have to make really hard choices like that movie. And I think that feels more grounded and real to me. But boy, do I love this film. I really do. And it's not slow. I wanted to push back against that I found it flying by. It for 2 hours and 38 minutes, that just went. We've had films this length on this list. I'm going to give it a 5, actually. I'm talking myself into it.
He's gone up to 5. All right. Brandon, where are you at?
I hate to be boring. I did this with Unforgiven, but I gotta go 5. I gotta go perfect. It's just I can't imagine what demerit I would give this movie, to be honest. You know, if I had to pick between them, I would have to go with Unforgiven, but by a pretty slim margin. Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it clips right along. I've seen it 4 or 5 times at this point, and I wasn't bored for a second on this rewatch. So I got to go 5. Love it.
I would like to give Brendan's review of There Will Be Blood a 5 as well.
Thank you.
It's a meta 5.
It's a meta 5.
Yeah,
Dave,
yeah.
let's go to you now, and this will be great.
Scott doesn't have Letterbox, so he hasn't seen what I gave.
My favorite is you can see in Dave's eyes, like, how much do I want to hear about this on future podcasts?
Dave, I got to add you on Letterboxd, clearly.
Yeah. Send your complaints to horsesonfilm@gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
Yeah. I'm
to
sorry.
Daniel Smith
In
and
another context, I might rate this differently, but I still don't think this is a Western, and I'm giving it 1. I really, I don't want to watch this again for another context.
Well, it's been fun, gentlemen.
I'm sorry. There we go. My Unforgiven is suddenly a good thing.
Yeah.
Our averages are averaging right now.
2 wrongs don't make a right.
You blew that one out of the water.
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry.
That's great.
Well, you know what we're doing here? We're trying to determine if this list, we're trying to determine what's on this list, what's not on this list. I think this movie is a 5-star performance.
Yep.
By
I'll agree with that.
Daniel Day-Lewis. I think it's a 4.5-star performance by Paul Dano. I think it's a 4-star movie. And if you look through my letterbox at other 4-star movies, including, one of my favorite Westerns of all time is at 4 stars. I think it is a prestige, Oscar-worthy, like we went through all those things it was nominated for. I think the music is great. The cinematography is great. The art direction is great. It's a 4-star movie. I think it's a 2.5-star Western. And so for the purpose of this list,
wow.
I'm giving it 2.5. And
we're keeping things interesting on this episode. I love it, actually.
Yeah.
We're kind of all over the place. I really feel like, as great as it is, and I think if you went out there and you made a brilliant movie with brilliant performances, which Paul Thomas Anderson did, and set it in the Old West, that's not enough to make it the top 100 Westerns of all time. Mm-hmm. And I really think, and not that it's not a Western, I think it is a Western, but I really think that this list could exist without it. I think you could look at a list of 100 Westerns that are better than this as a Western. I think you could look at this list and not go, hey, where's There Will Be Blood? Like, I don't, and it's interesting. Cowboys and Indians magazine put out a list as well. It came out a while ago. They updated it in 2021 because that one had some TV miniseries stuff on it that they wanted to kind of get off onto a different list. It's not on that list. Mm-hmm. And you can look at that list and not be overly concerned that it's not on that list. It doesn't really bother you when you look through that list. You go through and you see 100 great Westerns. I think I want to live in a world where There Will Be Blood might not be on our list. And so I'm at 2.5. I think No Country for Old Men from the same year in this grudge match is on the list. That's enough. I think this movie is a lot like The Treasures of the Sierra Madre. It's on the list. I think that's enough.
I have a question.
I think this movie is, it's Citizen Kane. It is a Citizen Kane caliber movie. And I think Citizen Kane tells a very similar story of greed and capitalism and loneliness, and is also set in the West in the past. But you would never think Citizen Kane should be on this list.
So
I think if you made a list, I think this movie belongs on a lot of top 100 of all time lists.
I'll agree with that.
Just not this one.
Right.
okay,
That's fair.
I have
Yep.
a question, and I think we might get to it on our. We bring up Hell or High Water a lot,
Right.
which we've said is a Western that isn't on the list. And my thesis when I started was this is what everyone else is doing kind of during that time kind of thing. More of a, we always, Hell or High Water is kind of a focus on the good guys versus bad guys, a lot less horses, but that like outlaw. And here, like of all the movies we've watched so far, this is the first Western that doesn't focus on that, or focuses on it in such a different way where Eli and Plainview, Daniel, are the outlaws and the town is the good people, like or the sheriff, right? And to see it done that way is fascinating. And I'm not, everyone's entitled, I rib Dave all the time for his reviews, but I'm
And not
now,
just here.
yeah, but I'm now curious, is a Western only outlaws? Is a Western, because Hell or High Water, we've said on several episodes now that, hey, that's a Western. But here, and this isn't a disagreement, is your explanation behind it. I 100% agree. Like Dave giving it a 1, I understand. I make face, I'll ha ha ha, but I get it. It's not a film for everyone. Proposition the same way. But now what is a Western?
Well, and that's just it. Is that I still feel like this is a Western.
Yeah.
I just think as the caliber of, again, I saw a few other movies, Giant, even Killers of the Flower Moon, where they tell a similar story set in the West, a lot of the same greed, a lot of the same elements up against each other. This movie's more of a grudge match. It's more of a duel, and a duel is Western. There's a lot of very, very Western elements in this. I just don't think it's a good enough Western to be this has taken a turn. I know, because it is a very, very good movie, but that's just how I feel.
Genre example as an expression of a genre, it just falls between too many cracks to really like communicate the genre for you, kind of thing. Like
maybe like if somebody said, "Oh, I don't like Westerns," which I hear that a lot, and a lot of people even reviewing Westerns on Letterboxd and stuff, they'll say, "I guess Westerns aren't for me." But then if there's got to be Westerns where you can be like, well, maybe you'll like this one. And I think this is one of those ones where you're like, well, you don't like Westerns, but what about this one? And then people go, oh, well, yeah, that's a brilliant movie. I love that movie. Right. So I think it has a place in the Western oeuvre of like, yeah, this is a beautiful Western that exists, and it tells a beautiful story in a beautiful way. I just personally think I'd rather have even Giant or some of these other movies in its place.
Dave?
Yeah.
Yes.
I
was gonna say, you said it's a duel is a Western. Well, Hamilton's a duel, and that's not a Western.
True.
There are plenty of examples of not Western duels. The duel at high noon is definitely a Western trope.
Oh, sure. Barry Lyndon is about dueling, and Star Wars Episode 3. There's a duel.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That in and of itself does not make it a Western.
So that's my question, and we've hinted at doing a bonus podcast with Hell or High Water. I would love to really dig into this, if we do that, of what a Western is. And I feel like what we're coming up against, and by no means is like a hurdle or anything. It's just is how Cameron, Dave, Brandon, and I see Westerns are very different, and that says there's a lot more to this genre as a whole, which I find fascinating already. Like when you talked about people don't like Westerns, that was me. When we were chatting about doing this, I'm like, I'm not really a Western guy, but I'm fascinated to get in on this journey, right? and I'm this is the part I'm loving about the podcast is this. There's a love of cinema and there's a love of film, and we're trying to dig down into the one, but we're all coming at it from different angles, and I love it. I'm a huge fan, but I hope we really get to talk about it.
This one is at least 93 more episodes to where we will determine what is a Western.
And this is number 47 on the list. So, it's right in the middle. It kind of feels a little bit maybe like filler. It's not one that's kind of barely making the list because it's a Western, but it's not that popular. It's not a ubiquitous classic or great top 10.
That's why Rio Bravo was on the list.
Yeah, there really are. Yeah, there are a few that I think would be considered kind of filler, and I feel like, and maybe people of a certain age, this movie and this director, to say like, hey, one of my favorite directors of all time made a movie that could be classified as a Western, therefore his Western should be on this list. But I also think it's very interesting. And I've said this, I'm not a huge fan, but there's not a Quentin Tarantino on this list. A guy who champions Westerns, loves Westerns, has made 2 of them. And even, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had these Western TV elements that he got into. I don't think this is on the list just because the people who built the list like Paul Thomas Anderson, but it could be. And it's interesting that there's no Quentin Tarantino, and there's several Clint Eastwoods. There's 2 Bedekers. There's several John Fords, and so I just really feel that this is a great movie, but not a very good Western.
No, and that makes total sense. Like it's. Mm-hmm. I'm also find it fascinating. Like, I guess whenever you make a list, it's always subjective.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
And I think the 8 Academy Award nominations, 2 wins, I think that definitely helped put it onto this list.
Yep. Well, Daniel Day-Lewis's performance is
100%. I
haven't seen his new one.
I don't disagree with the positives that anyone has said.
Yes, and we've talked about in the past reading, what was said in the actual IndieWire article. And in that, they really do focus a lot on his performance. Mm-hmm. And it really, I think it's the performance, because again, if you're thinking of great performances in Westerns, this is it. This is a great performance in a Western, typically not a performance-driven genre.
Yep.
So it's kind of, in that, but another movie that I would say tells a interesting similar story is The Furies, and The Furies is not on this list. It's Anthony Mann, beautiful movie, and has that extra element, and I said it before, of the female side of the story. And The Furies is it's not so much about oil, but it's about land. And that same grudge match back and forth. That would be like when we get to the point where we're making our lists and I'm making my list, I'm literally going to be going, There Will Be Blood off the list, The Furies on the list. That's where my head is on this. And I think we'll all make our own kind of list, and then we'll break it down from there. But
There Will Be Blood director's cut.
There
will be blood.
Behind the scenes features.
Unforgiven.
Daniel Day-Lewis stares at camera for 2 hours.
Yeah.
He's just like
Daniel Day-Lewis reading the phone book.
Oh
yeah.
Drinking a milkshake. I drink your milkshake. Not brought up once still now. Put a webcam in his cobbler shop. I'll watch that.
We were going to do a gag where we all had milkshakes and the straws were going to be going.
Too hard to organize. Like we abandoned that.
No, I decided it was hacky. I don't know if I've ever been not hacky before, but But yeah, I kind of feel like all the praise that we heaped on it for the first hour of this, I feel like I've taken I've rained on the parade a little bit. But
Not at all.
It was a twist ending. It was a twist ending. That's all.
Yeah, I guess so.
Exactly. So our next
yeah.
thing is of course whether it's list worthy. So you're saying this is not list worthy.
That's yes, and you're right. Is it list worthy? I say it's not list worthy, and we haven't really got to a movie in our first few episodes that we didn't kind of all agree was list worthy. I think this is the first one on the list that I think is not list worthy. I think maybe Dave agrees.
Yep.
And I say that the two of you disagree.
No, I actually, this is where Brendan and I will disagree, I think. No, I think your synopsis is correct. I find it more fascinating the difference of what a Western is and how we, like, I would say Rio Bravo would not be on my list, but I see why it's on the list, even though I rated it quite poorly. Yeah, no, I agree with your synopsis. I was just more Hell or High Water was the first thing that came to mind. No, you're fantastic. No, I was expecting Dave. I was not. Twist is like Kaiser Sosa on the top corner here. It's just like
Dave gave it a lower rating than me. I still think 2.5.
I'm a bad guy, but Dave's more of a bad guy.
Yeah, like make sure
no
everyone
white
knows
hat
that
here.
Dave Chapman that said that. He was the one that gave it 1 star.
Send your complaint to Daniel Smith at no.
I
think it should be on the list. I don't know, but obviously, I mean, I guess it's obvious, but I do find this disagreement fascinating, like just on the basis of genre. I think it's like I'll do a fracking metaphor. It's like fracking the earth. I think that's how it works, right? You get something out of it when you crack the earth open. So we're the fissures between us are producing interesting discussions, and but yeah, I would say just the conquering of the land, I think, is a central Western metaphor. So I do think it belongs there, but I hear what you guys are saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's going to be a huge portion of the population that when they do see a list of the top 100 Westerns, they're going to be scanning it to say, where's There Will Be Blood? And I think that's not wrong. And that's the point of it being subjective and, all these different lists.
The first thing I thought of when you're scanning metaphor was there's a large portion of the population that's going to be scanning for where's West Side Story. So like, it's just like, I don't think people really know what they're talking about sometimes.
Well, and when I started this whole thing and when I first saw this list and I think what's more controversial about this list as opposed to the Cowboys and Indians list that I mentioned earlier is there's not a lot on that Cowboys and Indians list that you could say, well, that's not a Western. They went, even though they picked a lot of great Westerns on their list, there's none that are edgy genre picks and not as many silent films. And it's a little bit more golden era. Yeah, it's safer. It's a safer list, which is why it's not the one we're following. We're following this list because it asks the question that Scott mentioned just a minute ago. What is a Western? And that was the inspiration for the opening video that I did on episode 1, because I really do think that's the mission here. And it's not going to get necessarily answered. We're going to get 100 and plus bonus episodes into this and still not really necessarily know what defines a Western, because I don't think it is completely definable, but it's the journey we're going on. And that's I think what makes it interesting, I hope.
I'm looking forward.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say no one wants a discussion on art that ends. Like that's not the point, and that would be the most depressing thing on earth. So,
if that was the case,
we're going to keep riding.
Yeah, we can make our final one 1984. That'd be great.
We can make the list, put it in a box, put a lock on it, shoot it into space, and never to be questioned again, never to be added to. No, that's just it. And like we said, a new Western will come out next year that's going to make us completely rethink it. I saw a great Western this year at the Calgary Film Festival called Eastern Western, which was a Croatian. It was a Croatian Western story that really ran full circle of this, you know, immigrant story through the West, and then by the time they get to the war, and how the effort of the horses to go back to Europe and help with the war effort, and end up back in, you know, these Slavic countries. I thought it was beautifully shot. It was a beautiful movie. I mean, if you want to talk about horses on film, they had beautiful shots of horses on film. And, you know, but it just came out, you know, recently, and 2 years from now, 3 years from now, Westerns are going to come out that are going to blow our minds. And I really hope that we kind of keep revisiting these newer things as they go. And, you know, and I heard an interesting article too, it was a podcast where they were talking about constructing lists like this. And sometimes it's not necessarily new Westerns that come out. It's old Westerns that suddenly become available, because a lot of these movies ran once and then were not available anymore. And with streaming and Tubi and Cinevault and Amazon Prime and Criterion Collection, The Furies was kind of a forgotten about movie until Criterion added it to the collection.
We're going to see Westerns. And
yeah, you're going to see these things come out of the woodwork that remind us. Even the Bedekers that we talked about, you know, had this resurgence because of Blu-ray DVD market.
We're also seeing a lot more of the foreign made films. So that's also going to help as well. Like there's 100 Westerns we've never heard about.
Every day. Yeah. Every day. When I think I've seen or at least heard of every Western, I'll click on a director on Letterboxd and go into his filmography and go, oh my God, there's this one. Even preparing for this, there was it was more of a series, but Desperados of the West was an older serial, and I used clips of it in the intro because I was just looking for other Westerns about the oil industry and oil, and again, never heard of it prior to doing this. So yeah, there's definitely new stuff there's new stuff that's going to be coming up, and old stuff that's going to come out of nowhere, and it's exciting. I'm glad we're doing this.
Me too.
On that meditation, Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, right? Like
I'll say next episode, this is an easy one. Next episode, number 2 on the list. Going into the top 2, 1968's Once Upon a Time in the West, directed by Sergio Leone, starring Claudia Cardinale, Henry Fonda, Jason Robards, who was in Magnolia for PTA, Charles Bronson. It's 166 minutes. It's the first one, at least in Canada, is on Netflix. It's going to be an easy one to find. One of my favorite Westerns growing up, for sure. One of those kind of blueprint Westerns that definitely, you know, video games came out of it. Other movies came out of it. Other directors cite it. It's on everybody's list of it's a ubiquitous pick. So I'm looking forward to that. Have you guys seen that one? Dave, have you seen that one yet?
I don't recall having seen it. Keep in mind, when I say this, because I say that a lot. I barely remember what I had for breakfast. So I'm not saying I haven't seen it, but I wouldn't swear that I have.
And I bet you've seen portions of it.
I've definitely seen portions of it, and have not yet rewatched it because I was waiting for us to get to this point on the list.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of stopped watching stuff in advance so that it would be fresher in my head.
That's what I'm doing with the ones I haven't seen too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Brandon, are you a fan?
I love it. It's my favorite Leone Western, which is saying a lot. Like over the Man with No Name trilogy and everything. I love Once Upon a Time in the West. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, and he had said he was done with Westerns after the Man with No Name trilogy, and was trying to get a different movie made. And they said, well, we'll let you do a Western and you can have Henry Fonda, your favorite actor of all time. And he was like, okay, I'll do another Western.
Henry Fonda pretty much Henry Fonda pretty much doing like Anton Chigurh in 1968. So
Absolutely, a bad
cool.
man. We've talked
Yes,
about
bad
bad
man.
villains, and this is a bad villain. Scott,
Yeah.
is this one you've seen?
I'm not actually.
Okay.
But one of the things I was going to mention is I like that we're talking about what we're doing next because that gives everyone 2 weeks to watch it. I'm
That's
not talking to us; we're going to watch it. But
Yeah.
comment, people, like I would love to hear people's comments on this. Like, bring the discussion out. I know it's a YouTube thing to do, but I am legitimately fascinated to hear like
Yeah.
people's thoughts on you know, is this a Western, stuff like that, and or watch these movies with us with the 2 week time frame so they can comment when this goes live and we can continue the discussion there. I'd love that actually.
Yeah,
You
I
can
do
roast
hope for
me in the
that.
comments.
Yeah, I really do hope for that because yeah, we'll just roast Dave as much as possible. I do think this is something that may get discovered once we're done. You know, people might find it later, and I'm fine with that. I think that, you know, it'll live as this thing. But I think there is something fun about going along with the journey too, especially if you're new to the genre, or if it's a passion of yours. Like, and you send us an email. You know, we have horsesonfilm@gmail.com. Send us an email. Send us, you know, there it is. Your thoughts and comments. We also, I believe, have horsesonfilm.com as well. And from there you can contact with us. The letterbox, you know, letterbox.com/horsesonfilm. Get on that and comment and like and follow and we're going to be adding, you know, I have a list on there now that says not on the list, but maybe get it on the list. And that's where we're kind of putting in all these things like the Furies will be going on there as soon as this drops and if Hell or High Water's on there.
And if people know, comment, please. I would love to see more that we don't know. Like,
yeah,
that's a big one. It sounds like I'm shilling for this thing, but I'm legit. People who know me know that I read this stuff. Like, I'm in for this.
We're having great discussions, and that's one of the things I was really looking forward to. But I think the discussion, you're right, can continue on outside of this. If it happens, it happens. I think it'd be great. Now that this is, you know, at time of recording, this is already starting to air, and we are seeing views, and it really means a lot to us. We really appreciate it.
It filled my heart to see that
it,
everyone else is following along and getting out of it. Like, I think seeing our intention with this and really feeling that they're part of the audience or part of the cast at some point too.
No, we're seeing great support. It means a lot.
Yeah, if you bring up something really good, I'll write it down and bring it on because I love that idea.
Oh yeah, and when we get to our bonus episodes, which we'll probably do kind of intermittently throughout, that's the opportunity to, you know, if you want to see an episode about your favorite Western and it's not on this list, you know, the gentleman who made the Cowboys and Indians list, his favorite is The Hired Hand, which was Peter Fonda right after Easy Rider. They basically said you can make any movie you want, and he went and made a Western, The Hired Hand, and The Hired Hand is not on this list at all, and that's his number one. It is on his list, not at number one, but his personal number one. So yeah, there's going to be a lot out there that really resonate with people, but aren't mentioned here. So definitely let us know. Dave, let's kind of get into where we can find you. What's going on other than all the places, Horses on Film? Where can we find you?
All the places. Yes, of course. You can find me, of course, here on Horses on Film every other Monday. But on Sundays, you can find me on Spill the Geek Tea at Spill the Geek T1. Tuesdays, The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. First Thursday of every month, along with Scott and Cameron. YouTube.com/@Happiness Patrol Show, where we eschew all things toxic and chat about Star Wars, because that is something that makes us happy. And in between all that, youtube.com/The Rat Hole, DOTCA, where I do board game stuff and just generally have fun.
Yeah. And, Scott, where are you in this world?
Breakfast Scotch National always. It's funny. I'm going to comment because you're like eschew all the negative. I'm like, we just did the holiday special.
Well,
We
the
really did.
toxicity. We can still be critical.
I was like, I don't think we were overly negative, but like that's a one
Yeah,
of the yeah.
it was
But that's
that
what
was
went
an
through my head.
interesting
I'm
one,
sure again,
for
you play
sure.
back, you'll see my eyes be like,
Wookiees with no subtitles for an hour and a half. Ooh.
My kingdom for some
Oh.
subtitles.
Yeah.
oh man, it was rewatching that. I actually like it was. Is it a Western though? I don't know.
Compared to this one, if you'd asked me, I might have said that. We're not going to go into that. We're not going to go into that though.
Again,
For that you can go over to Happiness Patrol show.
But yeah, no, that's where I'm at. Also in the comments, you'll see me, Scott J. MacArthur. I've been starting to comment on things because I really, really enjoy the feedback I'm getting, and we are getting, I guess. Brandon, where can we find you?
What about you?
Well, Scott and Cameron, that's my letterbox there. I never post reviews and I don't even post star ratings, but I do log movies that I watch. I think my Twitter and my Instagram, I believe, are the same as my letterbox. So, but I don't post there either. So,
yeah, that's perfect. That's all we ask of you. Keep a low profile, be mysterious.
Incognito.
And then everyone's sitting there wondering, what does he think of that? And then you come on this show and the dam breaks. So that's
I'm
perfect.
saving it up for you guys. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love
There
that.
you go.
I love that. Thank you.
Aww.
Yeah, and again, I'm on Letterboxd too, and it's a lot of Star Wars. We're getting ready to do Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi on Happiness Patrol. We're getting into the meat, and then I can't wait to get to the sequel trilogies because that's going to be wild. And then eventually we'll do the Search for Ben Solo, which I don't know is ever going to happen.
That's the soda came out that they didn't do.
Yeah, they're not doing it apparently, but we'll see.
Also, David Fincher had one, wrote it up, said it was awesome, handed it to them, and they went, we don't want this. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
What are they doing over there?
Disney put me in charge. I am going to plug though. I started an Instagram for this, which should be well up and running now that we're into the new year. These drop every second Monday, but the off Monday where things don't drop, that's where you'll see me post. It's Instagram.com at Horses on Film Podcast is the Instagram handle. That's where you'll see me drop the intro videos. So if you're watching this or listening to this only on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, which was something we weren't kind of anticipating off the start, but if you're just listening to it and you're not watching it on YouTube, the only really visual component of this, other than Dave's hat and Scott's beautiful face, Brandon's amazing DVD collection, and my haircut that the barber quit in the middle of my haircut. She basically leaned on my head and went, I can't. And she quit. So I broke her. I think she's left the country. It's a very sad thing. But
and if you want to see this haircut, go to youtube.com/horses-on-film and subscribe.
If you do want to watch it,
haircut,
it's here to watch. If you're not watching it and you think you're missing out on what those little intro videos are, they're on the Instagram every second Monday. So
I'll be putting them up on Facebook and Blue Sky as well.
Beautiful. And we'll maybe find ways to link it through horsesonfilm.com too. We're taking over every corner of the internet where Horses on Film is an available handle.
You will see us mosey into your town, I reckon, soon enough.
That is episode 7. That is episode 7 of Horses on Film. I want to thank all of you guys. Thank you, Brandon, again for coming. We will have you back. I want to thank Brett Alec Bailey, who did our beautiful theme song, and I look forward to hearing it multiple times throughout the day, especially when I'm editing. I really, really appreciate it. I love it.
Brett's awesome.
Yes, he was great. He was on the Proposition episode, and he did great. Thank you all. This was an emotional one. Thank you for going on this journey with us. But I'm finished.
you.